Hi there, folks. So what we have here is the three graphs of sin x, cos x, and tan x. I've just displayed them from 0 degrees all the way through to 360 degrees. So, and what you might notice here is I've divided them up, partitioned them up into sections of 90 degrees. 0 to 90, 90 to 180, 180 to 270 to 360. After that, the graphs actually repeat themselves, just like wallpaper. So, what, what we're going to do here, we're going to implement a system that's going to allow us to solve equations. So, there's the three graphs. Okay. So, is it going to let me move forward? Look at this thing called the quadrant check. And the quadrant check actually relates back to these four regions here. What does he mean by the quadrants? Well, 0 to 90, that's what I'm referring to as my first quadrant. Okay, my second quadrant is 90 to 180. So what we're interested in here is, does the graph lie above or below the x-axis? That's what we're interested in, each of the three graphs. So don't think any deeper than that. Next one, 180 to 70. Again, does the graph lie above or below the x-axis? And finally, 270 to 360, does the graphs lie above the x-axis? Right, so what? Hopefully, I'm fine with that. So let's move on. So that's where these coordinates are. So instead of going from left to right, what we're now doing is we're kind of going a kind of circular fashion, going from 0 to 90, 180, 270, all the way to 360. And then we keep going. We just keep going, just like a washing machine, a tumble dryer. We would keep going. So we're going to be asking ourselves some questions here. So somebody's had to make up the rules. So that's the first quadrant. That's the second quadrant. Third quadrant. And the fourth quadrant. Quad meaning four, hopefully. So the question that we're asking here is, which graphs are positive in the first quadrant? What do they mean by positive in the first quadrant? Well, let's go and highlight the first quadrant again. So there's my first quadrant. Okay. And what they mean by positive is which portion of the graphs are above the x-axis. So here, looks like that part of the graph is above. This one, it looks like that part of the graph is above. And this one, it looks like that part of the graph is above. So it seems that in the first quadrant, all parts of the graph are above the x-axis. So when we say above, we equate that to be positive. Okay? So that's why I'm making that statement there. So between 0 and 90, all of them are above. Right. Now, what we're seeing here, which are positive in the second quadrant? Well, here's the second quadrant. So which graphs are above the x-axis in the second quadrant? Right. That's above. Well, that's not above. And that's not above the x-axis. So if I have a cross here, that means it's negative actually. So it looks like there's only one that's positive in the second quadrant. So in the second quadrant, when I go to my quadrant check, what I'm saying here is it's only sign that yields a positive answer in the second quadrant. So that means if I take an angle, say something between 90 and 180, say 150, and if I put in sine 150, I will get a positive answer. Try it in a calculator. Sine 150 probably gives you positive a half. Okay, so that is what I'm saying here. Right, let's move through them. So this one here, which graphs are positive? So we're talking about positive here in the third quadrant. So where's the third quadrant? 1, 2, there's the third quadrant. So we're only looking for the portions of the graph that are above the x-axis. So which ones are above the x-axis? Well, that's below, so that doesn't count. That's below, but that doesn't count. Oh, that's above, so that counts. So it looks like here in the third quadrant, it looks like the tangent, or tan, is the only one that would yield an answer, a positive answer. So if I put in tan, something between 180 and 270, so tan 210, that would actually give me a half, I believe. So that's why I'm going to, when I go to the quadrant, I'm just going to put in all. I'm just going to put in the third quadrant, it's only tangent. It gives me a positive answer. Okay, so that's why I put in there. So only angles between 180 and 270, when I hit tan, that's the only ones that give me a positive answer. If I put in cosine or tan of angles between 180 and 270, they'll give me negative answers. So that's what we're saying here. Right, let's move on. Oh, positive in the fourth quadrant. So where's the fourth quadrant? Well, that's the last part of our wallpaper here. So we are looking for parts of the graphs that are above. So above, nope. So it's below there. That doesn't count. Oh, in the cosine graph, that's above. In the tangent graph, oh, that it's not above, so it's below. So that doesn't count. So it looks as if the winner is cosine. So it looks as if cosine, that's the only one that's positive in the fourth quadrant. So, right, so that's why I'm putting cosine here. So if I put in cosine of any angle between 270 and 360, say cosine of 330, that would give you a positive answer. If I put sine of 330, it would give me a negative. If I put in tan of 330, it would give me a negative. So this is what this quadrant game is all about here. So in the quadrant check, we put in this system that will eventually lend itself to solving equations for us. We put all, so we put in all sine, tan, cos. Somebody's made that up. So they told me, and I'm telling you, all sine, tan, cos. That's fine. And we just might as well use the letters because there's no doublers there. So ASTC. That's fine. Right. But the thing is, we only dealt with positive cases there. So what we're going to do is use the fact that we know where sine, cos, and tan are positive. Right, so done that. So here, this is me going through it. Okay, in which quadrants is sine positive? Well, sine is positive. We just saw that there. So without the graphs, so we always tick A for all and S for the sine graph. I could have put in SIN. Right. So I tick those two. Right. Next one. In which quadrants is cosine positive? We always tick A for positive and C for cosine. Okay. A and C. Fine. Right. Next, we're going to ask in which quadrants is tangent positive? So we always tick A and T for tangent. There you go. That's fine. Just remember, folks, this is only a little introduction there. We're just at the start of the story. We're not quite there yet, so just bear with us. Okay. Right, so now, oh, this is where we're dealing with things are negative. In which quadrants is sine negative? Well, the thing is, you know that sine is positive in all in sine. You know that. Sine is positive here and here. But we don't want to know whether they're positive. We want to know where they're negative. So it must be the other two quadrants, tan and cosine. Right? Okay. So I won't rattle through every single one of them, but hopefully you get the gist. But what I've done here is I've put in some formula that's going to help us solve. So when you're in the first quadrant, it says x equals a. In the second quadrant, 180 minus a. Third quadrant, 180 plus a. And finally, 360 minus a. So this is just a little build up. This is going to help us solve our equations. Okay, so as soon as we've identified the quadrants, then we can implement these formulas. Okay. Oh, an A is a calculator answer. That's what that is. So for us here, this section is just referred to as the quadrant check. So I think I'm going to leave it there, and you shall find this useful once you come back, because we're going to implement it in the in my solutions.